Rafidila Savana. I'm from Universitas Swadaya Gunung Jati, English Education course. And in here, I would like to presenting my final exam, Introduction to Literature subject, from my lecturer, Ibu Tut Kurniati. First of all, I will tell you about Emily Dickinson poetry. There's a two stanza in here in my final exam question. Hope is a subtle good thing. He feeds upon the fear, and yet expected closely. What abstinence is there? His is the high-cut table, and never sit by one. And whosoever is consumed, the same amount remain. And I would like to tell you about a little biography summary from Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson was born on December 10, 1830 in Amherst, Manchester. She attended Mount Holyoke Female Seminary in South Hadley, but only for 1 year. Her father, Edward Dickinson, was actively involved in state and national politics, serving in Congress for 1 term. Her brother Austin, who attended law school and became an attorney, lived next door with his wife, Susan Gilbert. Dickinson's younger sister, Lavinia, also lives at home, and she and Austin were intellectual companions for Dickinson during their lifetime. Dickinson's poetry was heavily influenced by the metaphysic poets of 17th century England, as well as regarding of the Book of Revelation and her upbringing in Puritan New England town, which anchored on Calvinist, Orthodox, and conservative approach of Christianity. She admired the poetry of Robert and Elizabeth Barrett Browning, as well as John Keats. Too, she was dissuaded from reading a verse of her contemporary Wall with Mad. By rumor, its disgratefulness. The two poets are now connected by the disgusting place they hold as the founders of uniquely American poetic voice. While Dickinson was extremely prolific as a poet and getting and close poems in letter to friends, she was not publicly recognized during her lifetime. Upon her death, the Dickinson family discovered 400 volumes of nearly 180 poems, or facets as they are sometimes called. Dickinson assembled this booklet by folding and sewing 5 or 6 sheets of stationery paper and copying what seemed to be final version of poems. To handwrite the poems for a variety of tasks like mark of various size. The original order of the poems was not restored until 1981, when Rob W. Franklin used the physical evidence of the paper itself to restore her intended order. And how about the poem? I want to tell you about the meaning of hope. So first thing, hope is the thing with a feather is one of best known of Emily Dickinson's poems. An extended metaphor, it likens the concept of hope to a bitter bird that is permanently perched in the soul of every human. That it's saying never stopping it has to inspire. Full of figure language, this form is extended metaphor, transforming hope into a bird that is ever present in a human soul. The imagery here grows stronger as the reader progresses. Not only in hope victory, it can say it sit on a perch on things the whole time, but the song is special for there are no words, no diction for everyone to understand rationality. And the second stanza is talking about in the first line is unusual the use of double dash. There are two distinct pauses which the reader has to be careful. Hope is always seen as we know from the first stanza, but they sting the sweetest when the going get through and the gale start to blow. The personal pronouns is appear for the first time, indicating a personal connection to the subject perhaps. Emily Dickinson took of herself as a little bird, a wren, so the link is a direct. Hope gives so much who people who's never asking but imaginary in her own life. That's the meaning of hope. Okay, I go next to the prose. So first I would review the novel of Charles Dickens about Oliver Twist. I'm gonna give a little bit biography summary about Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens was an English writer and a social critic. During his lifetime, his works enjoyed unpredicted popularity. He is now considered a literal genius because he created some of the world's best known fictional characters and is regarded as a greatest novelist of the Victorian era. This novel and a short story enjoy lasting popularity. Dickens was born on February 7, 1812 in Portsmouth on the southern coast of England. His father, John Dickson, was a naval clerk who dreamed of becoming a rich, and his mother, Elizabeth Barrow, aspired to be a teacher and school director. Dickens' literary success began with the 1836 serial publication of the Pickwick Papers. Within a few years, he had become an international literary celebrity and famous for his humanist satire and keen observation of character and society. Dickens was regarded as a literary colossal of his age. His 1843 novella and A Christmas Carol, whose famous story in 19th century is until now remains popular and continues to inspire adaptation, is very artistic genre. Oliver Twist and The Great Expectation are also one frequently and like many other novelists of a folk image of early Victorian London. Charles Dickens died on June 9, 1870 of a stroke. He was buried in Portcorner in Westminster Abbey. Thousands of monsters came to pay their respect at the grave and throw in the flowers. The novel followed journal and titular character of Oliver Twist, and that was a great novelist. So I would like to continue to discuss about the novel of Oliver Twist. Novel of Charles Dickens about the title is Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist is an orphan since birth, spent much of his childhood at the child farm with too many children and too little food. The farm is located roughly 70 miles outside London. One night, after being served his portion of gruel, Oliver asks for a second helping. This is unacceptable, and Oliver is sent to work as an apprentice to an undertaker. Eventually, after suffering repeatedly mistreatment, Oliver runs away and heads for London. He soon finds himself in the presence of Arthur Dodger, who tells him to stay at the house of an old gentleman named Fagin. With a number of other boys, Oliver learns that these boys are trained pickpockets. On an outing, Oliver witnesses the boys take handkerchief from Mr. Brownlow, an elderly man, which prompts Oliver to run away in fear and confusion. The elder man mistakes Oliver's behavior for guilt and has him arrested. However, after learning more about Oliver, Mr. Brownlow realizes his mistakes and offers to take care of him and his house. Oliver assumes that he is not rid of Fagin and pickpockets, but his knowledge and their crimes causes them to seek Oliver out. Nancy, a prostitute and mistress of one of Fagin's men, Bill Silk, is sent to take Oliver from Mr. Brownlow back to Fagin. She does so successfully, and Oliver is sent a burglary mission with another member of the group to the other countryside around London. On this errand, Oliver is shot in the arm and then is taken by family the Maylights that he attempted to rob. While he is there, Fagin and a man named Monks plot to get him back. Rosemary, while on a trip to London with her family, meets with Mr. Brownlow to talk with Nancy, who has slipped away from sight, to explain the plans made by Monks and Fagin to get Oliver back. And she describes Monks and tells them when he might most easily be apprehended. Unfortunately for Nancy, news of her betrayal reaches sight, and he beats him and beats her heart to death. And Syke accidentally hangs with himself soon after. The Mali reunited Oliver with Mr. Brownlow, who forced Monks to explain himself. The reader and Oliver are then informed that Monks is Oliver's half-brother and that Oliver is entitled to get the large fortune. He received his share the money taken in Hang and Miley's over, and Brownlow moved to countryside where they spent and the rest of their days together. So I read about this novel, and this is actually totally good novel, and I heard that it becomes a movie or something, but I don't watch it. But I read all of this novel, and I was interested about how Oliver survived from his struggle and becoming meet other people who can get him into strong parity. And I would like to telling about the character and characteristic in this novel. First of all, there's a Oliver twist, of course, because he is the main character of the novel. The novel protagonist, Oliver, is an orphan born in a workhouse, and Dickens uses his situation to criticize public policy toward the poor. In 1830, England, Oliver is between 9 and 12 years old when the main action of the novel occurs, to be treated with cruelly and surrounded by coarseness for most of his life. He is patient, innocent child, and his charms draws the attention of several wealthy benefactors. And second, there's a Fagin, a conniving career criminal. Fagin takes in on homeless children and trains them to become a pickpocket. He also a buyer of other people who stolen goods, things, and he rarely commits crimes himself, preparing to employ others commit to them, and often suffer legal retribution in his own place. And third, Nancy, a young prostitute and one of Pagan farmer child pickpockets. Nancy is also Bill's sex lover. She love for sex and her sense of moral decency come into conflict when sex abuse Oliver, despite her criminal lifestyle. She is among the novelist character in the novel. Eva. She gives her life for Oliver when sex murders her for refill months of plots. And fourth, there's a Rosemary, Agnes Fleming's sister, raised by Mrs. Miley after the death of Rose's father, and she's a beautiful, passionate, and forgiving young woman. Rose is the novel model and a female virtue. She stabilized and loving relationship with Oliver before it revealed that the two are related. And 5, there's a Mr. Brownlow, a well-off erudite gentleman who served as Oliver's first benefactor. Mr. Brownlow owns a portrait of Agnes Fleming and engagement Mr. Clifford's sister when she died. And the other characters, there's Monks, a silky, fictitious young man prone to violence fits and swimming with ineffable hearted. And the other characters is there's a Bill Sykes, a brutal professional burglar brought up in a vegan gang. Sykes in a Nancy Palm lover. And the other character is a Mr. Bubble, the proper self-important battle and manor church official for the world house where Oliver is born. There's a Agnes Fleming. This character is important in this one of important character in this novel. Oliver's mother, after falling in love with and becoming pregnant by Mr. Oliver, she chose to die honestly in a workhouse rather than stain her family reputation. And an entire novel officer daughter, Mr. Oliver and Monk's father, who died so long before the events of the novel. He was an intelligent, high-minded man and whose family forced him into a happy marriage with a wealthy woman. And there's a Charlie Betts on of a vegan paper cats. There's a Harry Marley, Mr. Marley's son. Harry is a dashing young man with a grand political ambition and career prospect. Mr. Bailey, a kind wealthy older woman, the mother of Harry Bailey, an adoptive aunt of Rose. And there's Charlotte, a Sowerberry's maid. Charlotte becomes romantically involved with Noah Claypool and follows him about selfish. So there's other character, but that's the main character of the novel, the important character. According to me, have a good impression to me to read this novel. And I will go ahead to drama. I will tell about some drama. I watched this story, the best suspense story. The title is The title is Sorry, Wrong Number. Drama from YouTube channel, and I will give you the link in the bio after you watch this video. First, I will read a summary with the best suspense Sorry, Wrong Number. Sorry, Wrong Number tells the story of Mr. Albert Stevenson, an invalid woman confronted to her pet, who becomes increasingly frantic, and the story progresses. The drama begins with Mr. Stevenson attempting to call her husband, who is working late. First started with the busy signal. She seeks the help to the operator who connects her through to what they assume is her husband's office phone. Instead of hearing his familiar voice, she listens in a conversation where two men are plotting a murder. The victim is a woman home alone who lives near a bridge. The man planned for the attack to take place just as a train crosses the bridge, so the son will make any scream for the victim. Horrified by what she hears, Mrs. Stevenson called the operator to demand that she trace the source of this call. The operator explained that only the police can push through a request like that, and so began 20 minutes to call the police. telephone operator, and even the phone company's chief operator, as Mrs. Stevenson attempted to alert someone to gravity of the situation. None of the people she talks to will acknowledge that she is in any danger. Meanwhile, the audience learns that Mrs. Stevenson has been confined to her bed for 12 years with anxiety issues. No one on phone has answered. She's seeking, and her anxiety mounts, building suspense that her health may be at risk. The drama climaxes in a scene where Mrs. Stevenson becomes certain that she is a target of murder. After all, she lives near a train that crosses a bridge, and when she hears that her husband has left town on business, she knows that she will be home alone and designated time for the attack. In the final minutes, she hears an interpreter listening on the downstairs phone, and then she picks out footsteps coming up the stair. She hastily calls the police to help, and just before they answer the phone, her terrified scream let the audience know that she has been caught by the killer. The drama ends when the police asks about the nature of the caller emergency. The killer picks up the phone, explains that he's fine, and say that he never meant to tell to the police. He apologizes for dealing a wrong number and hangs up. And I read about this and I watched this another sequel, but this story seems like this on Instagram, and it feels so bad when you have the anxiety and fully nervous of something like this. I was very concerned about this situation, but this story seems getting a lot of horror and horrible situation. But I listen and watch this sequel. So there's some question from my lecture. So I will answer one by one. Where does Mr. Stevenson suddenly go away on a business trip he goes to? Well, Mr. Stevenson goes to Boston to business trip. Second, what does Mrs. Stevenson overhear on the phone when trying to contact her husband? Murder appealed. In what city does the play take place? It takes place in New York, because in the first summary there's a place who telling about it. There's a word who telling about it. And third, is for what is primary motivation for Mr. Stevenson clear. So it will primary motivation of Mr. Stephen Killer is because she is home alone and she got a lot of anxiety about it, and her husband left him alone to a business trip, but that was I got from his name from his videos. I hope there's not worse mistake that I had. I'm sorry if there's a misleading pronunciation of my videos. Thank you for my lecture, Mrs. Uto, to give it this assignment to me, and to thank you for everything. And that's my assignment. Wassalamualaikum.